Hello everyone, myself Raman Deves, and I'll be continuing with three phase induction motor. I have covered some of the topics in the previous lecture, and I'll now continue from the other remaining topics. So, the next important topic is torque and power equation in three phase induction motor. In this, first of all, we'll be seeing the power flow in three phase induction motor. Here, first of all, we have input power Pin, which is power which is input to the stator of the three phase induction motor, and from this power which is input to the stator, we have certain losses. First is your stator copper loss, which is equal to I square R loss, so stator copper loss, and then stator core loss, which takes place in the iron part of the stator. So these two losses are reduced from the stator input power. Then we get air gap power or PG. Air gap power, it is very important while doing calculations. We will see that air gap power is very important. It is the power which is transferred to the rotor, from the stator through the air gap, that is why it is known as air gap power, or it is the power input to the rotor from the stator. It is very important. And then from the air gap power, if we deduct the rotor copper loss, then we can find the developed power or mechanical power which is developed in the rotor. We are not considering the rotor copper loss. We are not considering the rotor core loss here, because this rotor core loss, it is not considered over here, but it is taken as a constant loss, and it is added to the friction and windage loss of the motor. So the rotor core loss is not considered separately, it is included in friction and windage loss as a constant loss. So we deduct this rotor copper loss from the air gap power to get mechanical power developed in the rotor, and from this we deduct the friction and windage loss, which also includes the rotor core loss, to get the final output power from the shaft of the three phase induction motor. This is the final output power from the shaft of the induction motor. So this we have already seen that rotor core loss is not taken separately. Rotor core loss is not taken separately, but it is always included in the friction and windage loss. And if iron loss is given in the question, it refers only to the stator iron loss. Now similarly, we can find the torque also. As we have already discussed power, similarly we can also find the torque. So first is torque in the air gap or air gap torque. This is represented by tau g. It is equal to air gap power upon omega sm, because air gap power, it is transferred at a speed of synchronous speed. It is transferred at synchronous speed, or in terms of angular velocity, it is transferred at omega sm. So air gap torque is equal to Pg upon omega sm, and developed torque tau d is equal to P developed upon omega r, because now the rotor is rotating at speed of omega r. We will see how this developed torque is also equal to tau g upon omega sm. We will see this later on. And output torque is equal to output power upon omega r. Now friction and windage loss, which we take in the machine, is also known as mechanical loss or rotational loss. Friction and windage loss, which is there, it is also known by this name of mechanical loss or rotational loss. And losses at no load include the stator core loss and friction and windage loss. So these two losses, stator core loss and friction and windage loss, will be present in the machine at no load. even when there is no load, then stator core loss and friction and windage loss will always be present. Now the air gap power, it is the power which flows from the stator to the rotor through the air gap, and it represents the power input to the rotor. Now the power which is input to the rotor or the air gap power, it has two components. One is the rotor copper loss and the other one is power developed or the mechanical power developed in the rotor. As we have already seen in the previous page, this power, air gap power, it has two components. One is the rotor copper loss and the other one is power developed in the rotor. So it has two components. Now let's see the equivalent circuit for three-phase induction motor. This one is the exact equivalent circuit. This part represents the stator, and this one is the magnetizing reactance, and this one is the resistance for core loss, and this part represents the rotor part. Now here the current which is going to the rotor part is I2 dash over here. The current which is going to the rotor is I2 dash. Now if we multiply I2 dash square with R2 dash upon S, we get the air gap power, because this circuit is the represented at stator frequency. The rotor circuit is also brought at stator frequency, and then the equivalent circuit has been drawn. So if we see the stator circuit separately, if we see the rotor circuit separately, then I2 dash square into R2 dash should be equal to rotor copper loss, but here the equivalent circuit is drawn at stator frequency. That is why instead of having here R2 dash, we are having R2 dash upon S. So this I2 dash square into R2 dash upon S will not represent copper loss, but it will represent I square R loss. It will represent your air gap power. And not the copper loss. So here air gap power is equal to, just a minute. So here air gap power Pg is equal to I2 dash square into R2 dash upon S, and from this we can get rotor copper loss as I2 dash square into R2 dash, which is nothing but slip times of air gap power. So we can see that if we know the air gap power and we know the slip, then we can easily find the rotor copper loss by multiplying this air gap power with the slip. Similarly, we can find the developed power. Developed power is equal to I2 dash square into R2 dash 1 upon S minus 1, which is nothing but 1 minus S times of air gap power. Now how this is coming? Developed power is equal to air gap power minus rotor copper loss, and air gap power is Pg and rotor copper loss is slip times of Pg. So the developed power will be equal to Pg 1 minus S. So this is very important. We can see that if we know the value of this air gap power Pg, we can find the rotor copper loss as well as the developed power from it. And earlier we saw that developed torque was equal to developed power upon omega r, and this can also be written as Pd. Now we know that Pd is equal to 1 minus S times of Pg, and omega r is also equal to 1 minus S times of omega Sm. So this 1 minus S is getting cancelled, and developed torque will also be equal to air gap power upon omega Sm, which is same as your air gap torque. So air gap torque and developed torque both are same here. Now we can also simplify the above equivalent circuit and represent it in a manner which is more easy to understand. So the above equivalent circuit which we have seen, the equivalent circuit which we have seen already, can be simplified into a more simpler form where it is easy to understand, and we can see the copper loss. We can easily see the copper loss there, rotor copper loss, and also the developed power. This is easily visible from the equivalent circuit. So we are now going to simplify the equivalent circuit. So we know that R2 dash upon S is the resistance present in the rotor. Now adding and subtracting R2 dash from this, we get R2 dash upon S is equal to R2 dash plus R2 dash 1 minus 1 by S minus 1. So this part will represent the rotor copper loss, this part will represent copper loss, and the other part, this will represent the mechanical power developed in the rotor. So we are multiplying both sides by I2 dash square. I2 dash square we are multiplying on both sides. So this will give us air gap power, this will give us rotor copper loss, and this part will give us mechanical power developed in the rotor. So this is the final equivalent circuit, which is simplified representation for better understanding. For better understanding and for doing calculation and finding the equivalent parameters of the three-phase induction motor, we are further simplifying the circuit where we are neglecting the stator core loss. Now for better understanding and simplification in calculation, for easy calculation, we are further simplifying the circuit of three-phase induction motor where we are neglecting the RC, or the core loss component of the stator is neglected here. We can see that RC is not represented here. So this is approximate equivalent circuit of three-phase induction motor for easy calculation. Now let's see torque slip characteristics, or relationship between the torque and slip of the three-phase induction motor. Relation between the torque developed in the three-phase induction motor and its slip. So for discussing this torque slip characteristics, first of all let's draw the approximate equivalent circuit. Let's draw the approximate equivalent circuit and let's apply Thevenin's theorem to this. This will help us in simplification and easier calculation. This helps in simplification of the circuit and easier calculation. So first of all, let's apply Thevenin's theorem to this approximate equivalent circuit. Now we are applying Thevenin's theorem along this line while we are seeing from this side. So we need to find VTH as well as ZTH. Now VTH will be the voltage which appears across this JXM. Will be our VTH, and ZTH will be for finding ZTH, we need to take this R1 plus JX1 in parallel with this JXM. That will give us ZTH. So now let's see how to find VTH and ZTH. So ZTH is nothing but R1 plus JX1 in parallel with JXM. So this gives us RTH plus JXTH as the equivalent impedance, and VTH will be voltage which appears across JXM. So V1 into JXM upon total resistance, that is total reactance, that is R1 plus JX1 plus XM. This gives us VTH. These two formulas are very important for calculating different parameters. While applying Thevenin's theorem in the three-phase induction motor, you need to remember these two formula. So finally we get the Thevenin's equivalent circuit for three-phase induction motor. Here the source voltage will be VTH, Then we have RTH, JXTH and R2 dash upon S and JX2 dash. This is the final equivalent Thevenin's equivalent circuit for 3-phase induction motor. Now we can apply KVL here and we can find this I2 dash, the current which flows through the rotor. So this will be equal to VTH upon this VTH upon total impedance, that is equal to RTH plus R2 dash upon S and then J times of XTH plus X2 dash. So this gives us total current, and if we want to know the magnitude of this current, then it will be VTH upon under root of this square plus this square, RTH plus X2 dash upon S square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square. Now per phase air gap power is equal to I2 dash square into R2 dash upon S. This is per phase air gap power. So for 3-phase or the total air gap power, we multiplied by 3, and now we put the value of this I2 dash and we get a total air gap power as 3 VTH square upon RTH plus R2 dash upon S whole square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square into R2 dash upon S. You need to remember these formulas. If you know the value of this I2 dash or you remember the formula of this I2 dash, you can easily write the formula for air gap power. Similarly, we need to find the formula for this torque, air gap torque. This is very important. This is air gap power upon omega Sm. So it is equal to 3 VTH square upon omega S, RTH plus R2 dash upon S whole square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square R2 dash upon S. Now we can see that. Now let's see the relation between torque and slip so that we get a plot between the torque and slip. Now if we see the condition at starting, so at starting the slip is equal to 1. At starting or just after starting, when the motor is running in its initial phase, then the slip is equal to 1 or very close to 1. So under this condition slip is very high and R2 dash upon S whole square is very less, because slip is high, so R2 dash upon S, this value is very small initially. So under this condition X2 dash will be high, and hence in the above equation we can neglect this part, and ultimately we get that since this part is very large, so this part can be neglected, and hence we get torque as inversely proportional to this slip. Torque is inversely proportional to this slip, or the relation is hyperbolic. Similarly, under normal running conditions, slip is very low. Under this condition, R2 dash upon S whole square, since slip is very low, so R2 dash upon S, this term becomes very high as compared to X2 dash, and this term is prominent. It's in square term, so the torque will be directly proportional to slip, or the relation is linear. Under normal running condition, the relation is linear. So we get a torque slip characteristics like this, and this one is torque, and this side we have speed. We measured the slip from this side, we measured the slip on this side. Here slip is equal to 0, then this at this point or at starting slip is equal to 1. This region is braking region, this region is motoring mode or motoring region, and on this side we get the generating region. Here on this side we can see that torque is inversely proportional to slip, or this part is the starting region where torque is directly inversely proportional to slip, and on this side we have torque as directly proportional to slip. We can also see that this side, which is marked in green, is stable operating region, because on this side, as we are increasing the speed, your torque decreases. So this is desirable condition for operation. So on the green side it is stable operating region, and on the pink side it is unstable operating region, because with increasing speed the torque also increases, which is not desirable. Next is maximum air gap torque. It is also known as maximum internal torque or pull out torque or stalling torque or breakdown torque. It is the maximum torque which is available at the air gap. So the formula for torque or air gap torque is equal to this, and we are differentiating it with respect to the slip. We are differentiating the above equation with respect to slip and equating it to 0. We get the condition as R2 dash upon S is equal to RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square under root. So this is the slip at which maximum torque occurs. This is the slip or S tau m. It is represented by S tau m. It is the slip at which maximum torque occurs, and the condition for obtaining maximum torque through air gap is equal to R2 dash upon S tau m is equal to R under root of RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square. This is the condition for obtaining maximum torque through air gap. This must be satisfied. Here R2 dash is the resistance present in the rotor. Resistance present in the rotor circuit. Now this resistance may be the resistance of the rotor winding itself. This R2 dash can be resistance of the rotor winding itself, or it can have some external resistance as well. But for satisfying this particular condition, this may be your R2 dash or R2 dash plus some R external dash, which must be added in the rotor circuit for satisfying the above condition for obtaining maximum torque. It is possible only for slip ring induction motor. For slip ring induction motor, we can add some external resistance in the circuit. So the slip corresponding to maximum torque can be obtained using the above condition itself. This is very important. Questions are asked in exam directly from this. So slip at which maximum torque occurs is equal to R2 dash upon under root of RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square, and we can see that slip at which maximum torque occurs depends directly on the rotor circuit resistance. The slip at which maximum torque occurs depends directly on the rotor circuit resistance. Now let's obtain the value of maximum torque. We have found the condition. Now let's put that condition and get the maximum torque which occurs. So putting the value here and simplifying the equation, we get the condition for maximum torque as tau m is 3 VTH square upon 2 omega s R2 dash upon S tau m plus RTH, or putting R2 dash upon S tau m as R under root of RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square. As we have obtained the condition earlier, we can see that tau m or maximum torque obtained in the air gap is equal to 3 VTH square upon 2 omega s RTH plus under root of RTH plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square. You must remember this formula, it's very important. You can easily obtain this formula, and we can see from this formula that this maximum torque, it is not dependent on rotor circuit resistance. It is not dependent on this rotor circuit resistance. So we'll always get the maximum torque as same. While the slip at which maximum torque occurs can change. So we can observe from here that maximum torque is independent of R2 dash or rotor circuit resistance. It is dependent on square of the supply voltage, and tau m is inversely proportional to R1 or X1 and X2 dash. So as air gap increases, the maximum torque reduces. Let's see the condition for obtaining maximum torque at starting. If we want to obtain the maximum torque at starting itself, then what is the condition? At starting, we know that the slip is equal to 1. So putting this value of slip is equal to 1, we see that the condition is R2 dash is equal to under root of RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square, and if R2 dash alone is not sufficient, then we can add some external resistance in the circuit to obtain this maximum torque at starting. This condition must be satisfied in order to obtain maximum torque at starting. Now let's see what is the effect of change in rotor circuit resistance on torque speed characteristics. Effect of change in rotor circuit resistance on torque speed characteristics. We know that the slip at which maximum torque occurs depends on the rotor circuit resistance. It is directly proportional to rotor circuit resistance, whereas the maximum torque doesn't depend on the rotor circuit resistance. This maximum torque doesn't depend on the rotor circuit resistance. Now let's see how we can represent it graphically. Here we can see that this one is the torque and this one is speed. So as we increase the rotor circuit resistance, the slip at which maximum torque occurs, this one is the slip at which maximum torque occur. The slip at which maximum torque occur keeps on increasing with increasing resistance. As on this axis, on this side, slip is increasing on this side. So as we are increasing the rotor circuit resistance, the slip at which maximum torque occurs, it keeps on increasing. Whereas the value of this maximum torque value, it remains same, because it is not dependent on the rotor circuit resistance. Another important formula which you need to remember is the approximate expression of torque in terms of maximum torque. In many of the competitions, you need to use this formula directly in order to find the answer, because there we are just calculating the approximate relation between the torque. So you need to remember this formula which we are going to derive just now. It's very important from competition point of view. So approximate expression of torque in terms of maximum torque. We have already seen the expression for maximum torque. Now we are deriving the expression of general torque, say full load torque or half load torque or starting torque. We are deriving the expression for any torque in terms of maximum torque. That is what we are trying to do. We are trying to derive any torque, any normal torque in terms of maximum torque. That is our aim. So this is the expression for normal torque, and this is the expression for maximum torque. Now we are taking certain assumptions. Here we are assuming the rotor circuit resistance and rotor circuit reactance to be equal to 0. In that case, RTH will be equal to 0, and XTH will also be equal to 0, and VTH will be equal to V1. So this is the value under the approximation. So putting these approximations, we get the expression for torque, expression for normal torque as 3 upon omega s V1 square upon R2 dash by S, R2 dash upon S whole square plus X2 dash square into R2 dash upon S. So this one is the expression for normal torque taking the above assumptions, and this one is the expression for maximum torque. Now taking the ratio of these two torques and simplifying, we can see that the expression which we get is this: tau upon tau m, torque upon this maximum torque is equal to 2 R2 dash upon S into X2 dash upon R2 dash upon S whole square plus X2 dash. Now let's simplify this expression as well. So this is what we are getting here after simplifying the above relation. Now we know that for maximum torque, R2 dash upon S tau m is equal to under root of RTH square plus XTH plus X2 dash whole square. Now we have already assumed R1 is equal to 0 and X1 is equal to 0. So RTH is equal to 0 and XTH is equal to 0. So the above relation will be simplified as R2 dash upon S tau m is equal to X2 dash, because RTH is equal to 0 and XTH is also equal to 0. So the above relation for maximum torque will be R2 dash upon S tau m is equal to X2 dash, or R2 dash is equal to S tau m into X2 dash. Now we put this value we put this value r2 dash is equal to s tau m into x2 dash in the above relation. We put the value here and we can see the relation which we get is tau upon tau m is equal to 2 s tau m upon s tau m upon s whole square plus 1. On simplification we get this relation tau upon tau m is equal to 2 upon s tau m s plus s upon s tau m. This is very important relation from competition point of view. Now this tau upon tau m this tau upon tau m is equal to 2 upon s tau m upon s plus s upon s tau m. This is the relation which you need to remember. One mistake which is commonly made by students is that they miss this 2 in the numerator. You must not forget this part. And this tau can be anything. This can be your full load torque, this can be your starting torque or half load torque, anything, but in the denominator it is always the maximum torque. So you must remember this. And that's all for today. We'll continue with the other topics in the next class.